Hello and welcome to program News at 7, where every story shapes a world. I'm your host Mahnoor Qureshi. Let's take a look on the top stories we'll be discussing tonight, and we'll begin with an important development from Ministry of Foreign Affairs of Pakistan, where Pakistan, along with Egypt, Jordan, UAE, Indonesia, Turkey and Saudi Arabia, issued a joint statement expressing deep concerns regarding the Israeli remarks on opening the Rafah from one direction. In today's program, we'll decode the diplomatic implications of it and obviously the impact of it on the reconstruction and rehabilitation of Palestine. Then we'll move forward and discuss about the atrocities faced by the Muslims and other minorities inside the India. We'll discuss about the greater Hindutva ideology of BJP and Modi government, where we have seen today marks the anniversary of destruction of historic Babri Masjid. We'll discuss about it and obviously the atrocities faced by the minorities, including Christians, Sikhs and Muslims in India. And then we'll discuss about the climate change, as we have seen that climate change hit countries in Asia, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Sri Lanka, and we have seen that a lot of people lost their lives in it. We'll discuss about the vulnerabilities of these countries and what needs to be done. So today we'll begin with important development from Ministry of Foreign Affairs, where Pakistan, along with Egypt, Jordan, UAE, Indonesia, Turkey, Saudi Arabia and Qatar issued a strong joint statement expressing deep concerns over Israelis' remarks on opening the Rafah crossing from one direction. The ministries have firmly rejected any attempt to displace the people of Gaza and called for full adherence to agreed framework, obviously that ensuring the freedom of movement, humanitarian access to Gaza and the protection of Palestinian residents. They also emphasized on the sustaining of ceasefire, supporting the reconstruction and advancing efforts towards just and lasting peace between the two states. We'll discuss the regional implications of it. For that, we are joined by Dr.SabirAbu Maryam, who's General Secretary of Palestinian Foundation, Pakistan. And then we are having Dr. Jamil Khan, who's the former ambassador of Pakistan. So I'll start with this joint statement. What does this joint statement mean for the future of Palestinian issue? I'm talking to you, Dr. Sabir.
Thank you so much. In my opinion, this joint statement is a very good statement and very powerful stance by the 8 Muslim countries. Those are the regional, those are playing a role in the regional block shifting. So, as for the Palestinian hope, Palestinians are suffering not since only 7th of October, but they are suffering almost 100 years. And now, they are watching, they are seeing, they are seeking the justice for their future and their hope only for the Muslim countries. And what is happening today, Pakistan, along with the other Muslim countries, has issued this joint statement. This statement created a regional unity among the regions and especially for the Palestinian cause. This is a hopeful, and we are hopeful as a Pakistani nation, as we always supported the cause of Palestine for the justice, for the peace. And now, after this statement, I think we should step forward, and we should step forward and together all the Palestinian coalition, including PA, Palestinian Authority, including Islamic Resistance Movement in Palestine, including Hamas, Palestinian Jihad, PFLP, and others. So these all factors should decide the future of Gaza, future of Palestine, as per the wish and will of Palestinian people. Those are suffering, those are victims. So this is the responsibility as Pakistan government played in past and now is playing, and we are hopeful in future, inshallah, the government of Pakistan will remain this stance as per wish of Palestinian people.
Pakistan's stance is clear in this regard. Coming towards you, Dr. Jamil, do you really think that this unified stance from the 8 key countries indicate a shift in the regional diplomacy or projecting a strength of Muslim world?
I think it's only the resolve which they have shown, and it's based on what has been discussed so far, and in fact, it's based on the contents of the Security Council Resolution 2803, and the background of, as we all know, Security Council Resolution 283 is those 20 points peace plan and the negotiation, which these 8 countries during the General Assembly session in September, they had assembled together, and then they had negotiated, they had discussed, and then this plan was finally it shaped up in the form that a Security Council resolution was to be passed into it. So basically, why this is so important and significant that these 8 countries, it is definitely a power to be reckoned with, because previously it used to be only the Palestinian voice, and sporadically, independently, some of the countries have been raising their voice, but now it's a collective voice, and it's a collective voice which is based on certain principles. And obviously, the Palestinian cause has a principle and fundamental principles, which is enshrined in the United Nations Charter. So that said, but then it has further been under the given circumstances. The way the genocide was going on, and it was going on unabated. No, there was no light at the end of the tunnel that it would be stopped. But with whatever efforts these countries under the given circumstances, if you ask me, is it ideal peace plan? I would say no. But if you ask me whether the surrounding circumstances it necessitated that to really stop the genocide there, or to really keep negotiating, and Israel would have had the leeway to carry on with its massacre. In fact, what stand Pakistan has, and a very strong stand, that is based on the fundamental principle, which was initially raised by no one less than the founder of Pakistan on the August 20th, 1947. And he expressed his concern while he wrote a letter to Harry Truman, the president of that time of the United States, and he so showed his concern. He also said that we have the ties with Palestinian, our historical or religious ties are with the Palestinian, and we would support Palestinian people. And also, then he, being a barrister, he drew the attention of President Truman that it's a United Nations. Everything decided it's so important that Palestinian issue should be resolved in accordance with the principles of United Nations Charter and aspirations of the Palestinian people. So the principle is laid for Pakistan, and Pakistan foreign policy about Palestine has been always unwavering and has been having its fundamental root cause, which our founder, Mr. Jinnah, had laid down at that time and until now. And what is it? Basically, it's based on even our permanent representative, Ambassador Asim Iftikhar, just 3 weeks ago, he, while addressing the Security Council, he said the same thing, that Pakistan would always stand with the Palestinian, and they would always do the advocacy for the two-state solution of Palestine. And of course, these 8 foreign ministers, because this is a very fresh move and very fresh in happening. So that's why this discussion, I'm resuming it back after giving you the background. Now there is a force behind the Palestinian. And then that force is 8 countries, and those 8 countries have already had the commitment of United States, commitment of Donald Trump, the most powerful president of the most powerful country of the world. And probably, in my view, in my analysis, these countries, they know that United Nations, all these resolutions did not work for Palestine, for Kashmir. But the United States being so powerful, that they can prevail upon. And we all understand that if United States withdraw today and withdraws its all the warships around Mediterranean Sea and all the support of supply of weapons, which is over 100,000 tons of various supplies to the Israelis. So Israel would not stand anywhere. It would not have any standing to really fight with the surrounding countries and the people. But the worrisome thing which the 8 countries have shown, that while it has been decided on the 8th of October, Israel is continuing with its violations. And I'll give you my analysis, what leeway Israel has to carry on with its violation. 581 strikes, just in last almost 8 weeks, little less than 3-4 days, less than 8 weeks. So that is the matter of concern.
Dr. Jamil, that's the problem because it was backed by US, the stronger party, and we were just looking for that there would be no violation to it, but we have seen the violation, continuous violation of it. So what do you think? Now, Pakistan always support Palestine, but this comes along with the different countries. So what do you think that this statement, we have seen that the statement stresses that no forced displacement, would happen there, and the question is that who will govern this ceasefire, who will ensure the principle is upheld, and what happens if it is violated? Who will govern this? Who will control this?
So one thing is very important to clarify it for your viewer. Unless whatever has been decided by between these countries and the United States, and finally transformed into the Security Council Resolution 2803, which is now the international law. Any resolution passed by the Security Council, it becomes the international law. So unless that is implemented, I think it would be slightly premature to fully pin our hope that everything would be normal there. So the efforts which these countries are, in my understanding, making is that that plan which has been decided should be implemented. Now, Israel is finding an excuse. Israel obviously would like to sabotage this entire peace plan because Israel always had in its mind the expansionism, and this is what they have done. And if I stretch back my imagination back in the history, it's 1897, once the first Zionism movement started in Switzerland. The foundation of Zionism was laid at that time, and there they had decided about the expansionism, about Greater Israel, and they started doing that, starting from 1919 and then 1948, Palestine, 1967. Every time they have been grabbing the more and more territories of Palestine. And this time along, if these 8 countries had not really stepped in, and again, I would say that I could really offer you a lot of critical analysis about it and critiques about the 20-point plan. But then once I make a counter argument to myself and, of course, to the other experts, and ask myself a question that if we had lingered it on for a little more time, were we doing a favor to Palestinian? Would have been they would have been massacred, and genocide would have further had taken its momentum. Weren't they been being displaced, and they would have forced to displace at that time? Now Rafah entry point, Rafah border, the one-way entry. Yes, Israel wants that they should create a condition where maximum Palestinians should fled their ancestors' territory. They would like that. And that's why these 8 countries, because still we have not been able to consolidate our framework for the international stabilization force. In my opinion, and there are, of course, a lot of objections about it and a lot of observations about it. But if I see the surrounding circumstances, and if I only base on my argument on one thing and one logic, that what is the best way to save the genocide first, and then start thinking about implementing the international law and the peace plan and all. And the whole framework at this time, at this point in time in front of us is this this Security Council resolution. And therefore, all these Muslim countries should immediately try and implement it as soon as possible. And this framework, once it starts implementing, they start implementing, they would find that there would be fine-tunings in it. I know that the complete mandate has not been drawn. I know that the complete framework has not been drawn. But in whatever shape it is, the 8 countries and about 4 or 5 countries having their troops in Gaza, Israel would, and Pakistan, the countries like Pakistan, If their troops are there, I know Israel would think about 10 times before even violating or striking Gaza once the troops from the strong countries are there. So I think it's time that whatever has been decided, first of all, if they have decided, they'll have to really do something sooner than later before the Israelis they create a condition. We understand that the Israel is in shambles, the Gaza is in shambles, it's in ruins, it has been razed to ground. The kind of a
Your point is well
bombardment.
taken. Dr. Jamil, your point is well taken. Obviously, the primary objective is to stop the genocide in Gaza. Continuing to what you have said, I'm moving towards you, Dr. Sabir. The statement issued by Pakistan calls for empowering the Palestinian Authority. But can the Palestinian Authority realistically govern Gaza without resolving the internal Palestinian divisions?
Yes, unfortunately, the Palestinian Authority is not representing the whole Palestine. Very unfortunately, the Palestinian Authority is only exists in the West Bank, and the other factions are also existing in West Bank and Gaza, but they are not included in the Palestinian Authority. So I think this idea will not work regarding to control, regarding to govern the Palestinian state or Palestinian things by the Palestinian Authority. Only the solution is that to stop the displacement, the forced displacement of the Palestinian people in any case and any cost. This is very important because 77 years ago, we saw that the forced displacement of the Palestinian people, still they are refugees in Lebanon, in Syria, in Jordan, in Egypt, and many other countries, and they are not allowed to come back in their homeland. So first of all, to stop this kind of forced displacement, and the second thing, if the peace plan gave the governance to the Palestinian people, so yes, the technocrats, those are agreed by the all Palestinian faction, as in question one, I mentioned the all Palestinian resistance movement, all Palestinian political and social movement, they will decide the future. No rights, I think that there is no any international law exist to give the rights to other nations, to other governments to decide the future of other people. So I think if we are with peace, if we want justice, so our foreign office should come a step forward and to raise these points in the international forum. This is very important to stop the enforcement, to force displacement, to right of return the Palestinian people to their homeland, and also regarding the governance, all Palestinian factions must be included for the future, for the plan of any future.
But Dr. Sabir, the problem is still there. That will govern that. We have discussed about the International Stabilization Force just to govern the ceasefire, because ceasefire is there, but there are a lot of violations. So in such condition, what responsibilities do international bodies, especially the United Nations, have in addressing the concern raised in the joint statement issued by Pakistan with the other countries?
I think the ceasefire, as personally, if you want my analysis, I criticize ceasefire in many ways. But I say this ceasefire is a fake ceasefire because Israel is violating from the very first day. There is no ceasefire for Palestinian people. The Palestinian people are not allowed to rebuild their homes. They are not allowed to enter the aid for the Palestinian people. They are not allowing anything. Even they are continuing killing of innocent people in Gaza, in West Bank, in Jenin, in all areas. Also, they are killing your community, journalist community. So there is no ceasefire, I think. The second part of your question is that, yes, this is the responsibility of international community. Where is United Nations? I think United Nations, unfortunately, very unfortunately, in my opinion, the United Nations has been failed. They are only giving the United Nations is gives only in the hand of some superpowers like US, like Britain, like Russia, like China, like others. But where is justice? United Nations was formed in 1945 for the one point agenda, which was the most prior agenda to keep the peace across the globe. But unfortunately, there is no role. 2 years we saw the live genocide, and the United Nations was not active there. But now the United States have given the plan, like a peace plan, so-called peace plan, but This plan, why we should say this is not a ceasefire plan? Because Mr. Trump gives 20. Mr. Trump has uh, announced he accept in the Israeli parliament that we gave $21 billion to the Netanyahu, and Netanyahu has used in very good manners. This is the ceasefire. This is the peace. I think peace. If you want the peace, the Muslim community, as the 8 countries are united. We need more countries. We need more unity, and we need more regional stability. And if we are united and stable, I think we will resolve the issue of Palestine. Only the issue of Palestine will be resolved if Palestinians were allowed to return to their homeland, the right of return, the right of self determination.
Dr. Sabir, you have talked about the international bodies, but with that you have discussed about the as well, the Trump plan as well. How do you see it, and what about the regional countries? How do these regional countries see the Trump plan? Do you really think that this plan, this peace plan, is benefiting one side more than the other one?
Yes, of course, we are witnessing that. This peace plan only gives the immunity to the Zionist regime, not for the Palestinian people. Palestinians are still being killed. They are still facing the genocide. They are still facing the war crimes by the illegitimate Zionist regime. So, any peace plan, let me say again, any peace plan which is the without wish and will of the Palestinian people will not remain work. Only the peace plan where the Palestinian faction will be united, and they will decide the future. I think the peace plan will work.
All right, so Dr. Sabir, we are talking about that, even the world is talking about the governance of this peace plan. So under this peace plan, how much decision power, decision making power does US retain, and do you really think that is it balanced?
Yes, of course, this is imbalance. Uh,
Not about the plan.
I already mentioned that no one have rights to decide the future of other nation. Who has rights to decide the future of Pakistan? Who has right to decide the future of Palestine? Pakistan will decide its future by Pakistanis. Palestinian will decide their future for their Palestine, not for others. So eh, once you once you imposed these kind of 20 points, as the Mr. Ambassador also said that he also critics, but uh, whoever will impose any plan, any peace plan will not remain work.
That's well taken. Thank you so much, Dr. SabirAbu Maryam, for joining us. We were joined by Secretary General of Palestine Authority, Pakistan, Dr. SabirAbu Maryam, and then we were having Dr. Jamil, who was the former ambassador of Pakistan. So moving forward towards another very important topic where we will discuss. Okay, so Dr. Jamil is still with us. Thank you so much, Dr. Jamil. So we are heading towards another very important topic to discuss about the atrocities faced by Muslim minorities and other minorities inside India, as today marks the anniversary of the destruction of historic Babri Masjid, a painful reminder for the religious intolerance in India. Pakistan's Foreign Office has expressed serious concerns over the continued marginalization of Indian Muslim and other minorities under the BJP government and the rising influence of greater Hindutva ideology. The spokesperson highlighted how extremist groups emboldened by the state patronage are pushing for the suppression of minorities, and tonight we'll discuss and examine the ongoing atrocities faced by the Muslims and the other minorities in India. To discuss about that, we are joined by Ms. Shazia Malik, who is the seasoned international journalist from Canada, and then we are having we'll have Dr. Jamil Ahmed for that. Dr. Jamil, how do you see it? We have seen today marks the anniversary of destruction of Babri Masjid. Obviously, it instilled the message of religious intolerance, and especially it is targeting the Muslim all over the world. How do you see it?
India has sufficient, there's a sufficient evidence against India about the religious intolerance, and that has been already, there's a testimony to that. Once we look into the International Religious Commission of United States, in which they have tabulated most of these points about the religious intolerance in India. And it's not only once, it's last about consistent three reports of United States International Religious Freedom Commission. And then that is there. Not only that, but they have cited about the amendments they have brought into their constitution and the enactment of Citizens Act. So there are sufficient evidence available, and there are reports in which the Amnesty International, the Human Rights, they have already tabulated what's and they have been really conducted in the society, in the Indian society against the minorities. So yes, there are sufficient proof about it, and yes, India is fully exposed. The way they have this Hindutva mindset, obviously they feel that the others hardly have any space in their country. No pluralism, no religious intolerance, and therefore all what you see. So much so that the report again, what I was referring to, it also indicates that the RSS activists, they have their full control, even government institutions, may it be media, may it be government offices, and they take the support. See what is happening even in Kashmir. They are using the military camps, and the RSS activists are camped, and they are supported by they get full support from the government institutions. So under these circumstances, we cannot really expect any kind of fair kind of treatment to their own citizens and their minorities. And it's for this reason the entire world is quite convinced. But the bigger question is that why India has not been taken into account. Now, India had really pre-positioned itself in the geopolitical the landscape in such a manner that the other big powers who could have taken them could have made them accountable. They somehow had their own interest, their economic interest, their geopolitical interest, their competition against China, and so on and so forth. And therefore, some of these things were ignored. But it's not going to be ignored for a longer duration of time. Even the minorities, once the bubble, once their patience, they go out of patience, obviously India would start having turmoil within their own ranks and file, because there's a large number of minorities, including Muslims. And if they are really pressed against the wall, then they would have no other option but to retaliate. And in that case, may it be Christian, may it be Muslim, may it be Dalit, may it be any minority for that matter. So they will start really retaliating. And they are in many respects within the normal framework of the country, they are retaliating. But then probably they would not really continue with that. Now, what international community can do? There are international law, there are human rights, there are religious freedom, there is universal charter of United Nations, and that needs to be implemented. And the entire, I think there should be a lot of deliberation. There should be forum in the
Point is
world.
well taken. Dr. Jamil, your point is well taken. Thank you so much for joining us. Your point is well taken, especially when it comes to Kashmir. We have seen the greater Hindutva ideology of BJP, and then inside Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and then inside the India and outside the India. We'll discuss about that. We were joined by Dr. Jamil Ahmed, former ambassador of Pakistan. Now we are joined by Ms. Shazia Malik, who's a seasoned journalist from Canada. Dr. Shazia, welcome to the show. Continuing to what we have discussed with Dr. Jamil about the greater Hindutva ideology of BJP. How has the rise of this greater Hindutva ideology of BJP government affected the lives of Indian Muslims, and obviously not only the Muslims, the other minorities inside the India?
Yes, this actually, I must say that today, the day itself and date is very significant. It is the 6th of December, the day when Babri Mosque was demolished. And right after that, what Mr. Modi did was that he attended a rally there and he, unfurled the saffron flag over there, violating the very constitution of India. And because of his policies, these things are continuing. Now, we always talk about Congress. We think that it is only, and by opposition in India, we only mean Congress, that Congress is against this Hindutva policy that has made the lives of the minorities in India miserable. It's not only Rahul Gandhi or the Congress, it is SP, that is Samajwadi Party. You must recall the whole speech of their chief Akhilesh Yadav in the parliament, where he said that everybody read Bhagavad Gita. I mean, Mahatma Gandhi also read it, and Nathuram Godse also read it. But whereas Mahatma Gandhi followed the path of non-violence and tolerance and secularism, Godse followed the path of violence, and this is exactly what BJP is following. And it is also other parties as well. For example, our Didi Mamta Banerjee, the chief of TMC, she also says that Hindutva does not lead Hinduism does not lead to violence. Hinduism is a very, very non-violent religion and it believes in secularism. Then you must have heard the speech of Iltija Mufti, who is the daughter of Mehmooda Mufti, who said that Hindutva has become a disease in India now. And then Umar Abdullah. These are the people who had very lovey-dovey relationships with BJP, and now they are all coming out and speaking against this policy, and they are suffering at the international level. The whole international press is filled with their Hindutva ideology that is destroying the very fabric of India. The New York Times, the Washington Post, BBC, Al Jazeera, you just name any leading publication, they have these articles. Rana Ayub's articles that constantly appear in the international press, where she talks about this state-sponsored repression in India that is going on at the moment under Modi. Their own report, if you have seen the report of this Hindu lab, it says that the rise in hate crimes in India have risen to 74%. And that was just 1 year's data that was in 2024. So
Your point is well taken, Shazia Malik Sahiba, your point is well taken. It is a state patronage and it obviously raises a serious question on the secular state of India. So now moving forward towards Lieutenant General Zahid Mehmood Saab, who's here with us, and he's a defense analyst. Welcome to the show, Lieutenant General Zahid. How does such incident, we have seen today marks the anniversary of destruction of Babri Masjid. So how does such incident like Babri Masjid destruction impact the claim of India being a secular democratic state?
Thank you very much, Mahnoor Qureshi. Just one correction. Thank you for promoting me. I'm Major General retired, but anyways, thank you very much. You have always been very kind. But anyway, India was never a secular country. Yes, they claimed that they are a secular country. But that was the politics of those who wanted to, because this country was not created because of some ideology or some kind of a religious unity. So they try to keep themselves intact. They try to, the compulsion on them to stay together was the only charade use of this word secularism. This country has transformed from secularism to Hinduism, and saffronization has taken place. Instead of secularization, the saffronization of India has taken place. It is a Hindu country. It is a Hindu, and the Hinduism is not bad, but we are talking about the Hindutva application. That Mahabharat, that great grand Bharat, I mean, those ideologies and those political pursuits are being undertaken to achieve the Akhand Bharat concept, And even the Congress is again, we always feel that Congress is secular in nature. No, they are also following the Akhand Bharat policies, but in the other way. Now, just one example, there are around 547, if I'm not wrong, members of the Lok Sabha. Only 27 Muslims. That is less than around 4% of the Muslim population, though of the Indian population. Though, I mean, the Muslims over there are more than 17, 18%, but only 4% are being represented. Out of these 27 member parliaments, none is, Muslim. Then look at the laws in the lawfare. This laws against the Muslims. They have made the Muslims stateless through their draconian laws. Then their Waqf bill, that is against the Muslims, and whatever is happening in Kashmir, that is in front of everyone. So this is there has been a lot of hate against the not only Muslim but the minorities. And this I'm not saying this. There is a report on them for the year 2024 where the hate against the minorities were increased to 76%. There was increase 76% in 2024, and out of 76%, the 86% was a hate against the Muslims. So I think the Babri Mosque is a clear reflection of their mindset, clear reflection of their approach, and this is being continued. There is a continuity in that. So all those democratic voices are the political voices. There are very small voices, but overall, I think there's no place for the Muslims in this Bharat, whether it is led by Bharatiya Janata Party or Congress, and this Sangh Parivar, which has made it as a saffronized everything. Their military is saffronized, their judiciary is saffronized, and they're now this media. It's in front of you, unfortunately. So this is a Hindutva-based society now, which is pursuing the Hindutva objectives.
So now moving forward towards the role of international bodies, we have seen that one country is illegally occupying the other state. We have seen the atrocities, brutalities there. But when it comes to that kind of a situation, what mechanism exists at the UN and the other international bodies to hold the governments accountable and the protecting religious heritage, especially such kind of sacred places like mosques, like churches? We have seen nothing is safe inside India.
Yes, of course, nothing is safe because, as I said, that there are two type of enemies which India has created. One is enemy within, and one is enemy without. Enemy without is clearly countries like Pakistan and all the regional countries, even all the regional countries, smaller or bigger. The only country which is showing defiance is Pakistan, and the enemy within, all the minorities. As far as UN is concerned and other bodies is concerned, yes, we sometimes we find certain reports about India, this human rights violation and all that, but it is not going beyond these reports, and any concrete actions are not being undertaken, because this is in the real politics. It is the interest of the West, especially in India, being a larger country, being larger economic interests. So they want to just follow their own interests. This relationship and this application of justice internationally, it is again dependent on the bilateral relationship or the interest. Only two things can support you where you collaborate. One is the interest, and the other one is the fear. So these are the international interest in India, which is because of that they don't take actions. But again, I said that there are voices, international voices, but there are no concrete actions being undertaken. And this is unfortunate. That's why this rule-based society is challenged by two countries. One is India in this part of the world, and in the Middle East, it is the Israelis. So it is kind of a might is right kind of a concept is being implemented, which is very detrimental to the stability in this region. So
Exactly, and both the states have the same ideology of expansionism. We have seen that. Thank you so much, General Zahid Mehmood, for joining us tonight. So now moving forward towards Ms. Shazia Malik. Okay, let's talk about the state-sponsored terrorism by India. We have seen in the recent past the killing of Hardeep Singh Nijjar in British Columbia. What have Canadian authorities concluded about that and the possible links of this murder with the Indian state-linked agent? We have seen there were evidence related to it. We have seen India is not affecting and harming the minorities inside the India, but outside the India as well. There were evidence in US, there were evidence in Canada. How do you see it?
Okay, this is an extremely important question, and I have been saying in my programs here in Canada, and I urge really the Pakistani authorities to highlight this fact very much, because even when our delegation, the Pakistani delegation, they went abroad, they did not talk very extensively on this. So this is a pattern that has become now very, very normal, or India, let's say, has normalized killing Sikhs outside of India because of their policy, ghus ke marenge. So they think that they can ghus everywhere and they can mar everywhere. Now, here in Canada, not only Hardeep Singh Nijjar, but another very big businessman, Mr. Dada, was killed. Also, their organization, this Lawrence Bishnoi gang, which allegedly is sponsored and has the blessings of Amit Shah, their home minister, has been considered a terrorist organization here in Canada because it has been found involved in all these killings. This Kapil Sharma, this comedian, this huge Indian comedian, his restaurant has been, hit several times by these goons over here. There are other Punjabi singers who are constantly being, harassed. There is a complete CSIS reports, that's the intelligence report over here, along with the Five Eyes over here, that the Sikhs are being constantly harassed. This Modi government is constantly also interfering in our political system, and not only here, the reports are from Britain also, from US also, from Australia also. I mean, of course they want to downplay that. Canada has not downplayed it, but definitely they are overreaching. Their state sponsored terrorism is now increasing. Have you seen this movie Dhurandhar that has just come in, Marok? If you see that movie Dhurandhar, they have actually confessed in it that they had a long-term plan of destabilizing Baluchistan and creating this militancy over there. Every Pakistani needs to see that movie to understand that they are what their nefarious designs are. So, I mean, Pakistan is what we call it.
Exactly.
From
Ms. Shazia Malik, your point is well taken. Thank you so much for joining us tonight. We were joined by Ms. Shazia Malik, who's a seasoned journalist from Canada, and we were talking about the atrocities faced by the Muslims and the other minorities inside the India. And obviously, there were evidences about the Indian state-sponsored terrorism outside the India as well, including in Canada, including in US as well. And then we have talked about the expansionism and greater Hindutva ideology of Modi and BJP. We have seen it inside the Indian illegally occupied Jammu and Kashmir, and obviously we have seen in the other countries as well. So we were talking about the atrocities faced by the minorities, be it church, be it mandir, be it the mosque. Everything is affected, and every person, even a Hindu inside the India, who's talking about the human rights and who's talking about the Muslims and talking in support of Muslims as a human, so they are being affected and targeted by the BJP and Modi government. So now moving forward towards another very important topic, that's the climate change. And we have seen that the recent weeks have seen devastating floods and landsliding across different countries in Asia, including Indonesia, Malaysia, Thailand, Sri Lanka, triggered by a combination of heavy monsoon rains and powerful storms. We have seen that the death toll, across the region has risen to over 1,750, with many more are missing and placed by these weather conditions. And it is very important to talk about the displacement by such weather conditions. The floods and the landslide caused by cyclone have wrought havoc in Sri Lanka. The government says that over 607 people have died and 100 remains missing in such condition. To talk about that, we are joined by a journalist from Sri Lanka, Mr. Zulfick Farzan. Mr. Zulfick, welcome to the show. We'll talk about especially, obviously, the factors that made Sri Lanka and the region so vulnerable to such destructive floods and the landsliding this time.
Thank you for having me on the program. To start off, I must say that just this evening, we just got an official death toll update that it has increased to 611 from the earlier or 24 hours earlier death toll from around 497, which is an alarming increase to 611. And then also the missing number goes to about 234, and almost 2 million Sri Lankans are affected by this natural disaster left by the cyclone Ditwa over the past
All right, so we have seen the climate.
Speaking of, there is a. I
Mr.
beg your pardon?
Zulfick, yeah, you're audible. Please continue.
Yes. So to speak about Sri Lanka, right now we are having a major challenge that is not with regard to the financing issues, but with regard to the access towards the communities that have been completely cut off from entire cities. Now, for example, there is a town called Rendapula in the Central Highlands. The entire surroundings of this village was completely destroyed by a massive landslide, and the entire village was trapped because of this landslide. And it was even difficult for the armed forces to even reach the location. And therefore, that is just one such case. There are many more such locations that have been completely cut off because access roads have been washed away by flash floods. Bridges, massive bridges have also been washed away by flash floods. To speak about bridges, I must importantly note that there is a very famous bridge in the Central Highlands, and the river is around 20 to 30 feet below that bridge on a normal day. But during this time around, it is believed that for the first time in history, this bridge was completely covered by the flash floods during the because of cyclone Ditwa, and that alone shows the toll and the devastation that it has caused, completely knocking out infrastructure, cutting off communities from major cities, and making it impossible or making it treacherous for rescue teams to even reach those locations to provide relief to the people living there.
That's totally devastating and intense, but not talking about this time floods only. Uh, let's talk about the climate change. How is Sri Lanka addressing the climate change adaptation, especially in the vulnerable areas, especially in the flood-prone areas, especially in the areas that are prone to the landsliding, to reduce the future disaster risk? Especially, we have seen that this area is vulnerable to that, and especially to the climate change.
Absolutely. I think this disaster situation has become a wake-up call for Sri Lanka as a whole on how to manage climate change and how to protect itself from future disasters. And just yesterday, President Anura Kumara Dissanayake addressed Parliament and laid out a comprehensive plan where he sees a short-term 2 to 3 year plan in order to recover from this crisis and also to ensure that such a devastation does not recur in any future other natural disaster as well. Now, one of the key highlights that he pointed out was the allocation of land and moving people from landslide-prone areas to areas that are more safer. Now, this time around, what's more interesting is that some of the areas that never fell victim to landslides, that never fell victim to floods, even in urban areas, were completely devastated by landslides and floods. There's a city called Kaduela, which is not far away from where I am. Usually, when there is a flash flood, the floods rise up to around 1 feet or 1.5. But this time around, it completely covered the first floor of entire buildings. That's around 7 to 8 feet. So that alone tells us that things are getting. Things are not going to according to plan.
All right. Thank you so much, Mr. Zulfick, for joining us tonight. We were joined by Mr. Zulfick Farzan, who's a journalist from Sri Lanka. And be safe, Zulfick. We are Sri Lankan brothers in this tough time and wish you all the best of luck to recover in this condition. We are with you. The world is with you. And I hope so. We'll work together to mitigate and adapt to this climate change. In tonight's news at 7, we have discussed about a joint statement issued by Pakistan along with other countries expressing the deep concerns regarding the Israeli remarks on opening the Rafah from one direction. Then we have discussed about the atrocities faced by the Muslims and the other minorities inside the India and outside the India, as today marks the anniversary of destruction of historic Babri Masjid. Then we have discussed about the devastating floods and climate change that hit Sri Lanka. That's it from today's show. This is your host Mahnoor Qureshi signing off. Keep watching Pakistan TV.